Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Simple Watch Reviews, where I review simple watches in a straightforward way. Today, a watch which has absolutely exceeded my expectations. The Baltany S4095 Datejust Homage. Before I say anything else, just look at this macro footage. Isn't this watch absolutely gorgeous? It is beautifully finished. There's nothing in terms of the finishing that I don't like about this watch. I think they've done an absolutely phenomenal job with it. And this is a watch that costs $215 or 165 British pounds. It is an absolute bargain. It's the first time I've had a Baltany and I can see why they get such a good press. This is a lovely watch. I've been looking for a mid-sized Datejust Homage for some time now, and this one has absolutely scratched that itch. So as usual in this video, I will include, as well as macro footage, indoor footage and outdoor footage, all of it shot in 4K, so you can get up close and personal with the watch and you don't just have to take my word for things, because as you've already heard, I think this watch is wonderful. There are two things about it which aren't quite perfect, and I'll get to those at the end, but let me start by doing the dimensions. So this is 36mm in diameter, 43.5mm lug to lug, so a fairly short lug to lug even for a 36mm watch, and it really does wear nicely as a result, especially as it has female end links on the bracelet and lugs that kind of turn down a bit, so it really does hug the wrist beautifully. It's 11.5mm thick, and initially when I held it I thought maybe it's a tiny bit too thick, maybe it's a little bit thicker than I'd want a watch like this to be. But two things: firstly, when it's on the wrist it doesn't feel too thick at all, and secondly, I believe it's actually slimmer than the Rolex version of this watch, which I think is 12mm thick. So that 11.5mm thick does include the sapphire crystal, which protrudes a little bit. So it's one of those flat sapphire crystals that's kind of raised up out of the case. It's also clearly, as you would expect, got a Cyclops, and that Cyclops does a great job of magnifying the date. The crystal also has some anti-reflective, and despite the fact that this is a watch that might look like it wouldn't be that legible because of that grey sunburst dial and the silver indices and hands, it's actually, I found, very legible even when you're out in bright sunlight. The case has a 20mm lug width, so you will have loads of strap options for this watch, and it also has a screw down crown which gives it 100 meters of water resistance. So this is a great go anywhere, do anything kind of a watch. The weight with all of the links in is 132 grams, so it's reasonably substantial for a 36mm watch, but it definitely wears very comfortably. And inside you have the reliable Seiko NH35 hacking and hand winding movement. The bracelet, like the rest of the watch, is 316L stainless steel. It has screwed links, and Baltany do provide a nice little screwdriver to change those links. The other thing that is wonderful about this watch is the packaging. So it comes in this gorgeous kind of fake leather pouch. Much better attention to detail generally with this watch, right from the packaging down to some of the details of the watch, which I'll talk about in a minute. It really does feel like they thought of everything with this one. The one thing I don't love about the bracelet though is the clasp. So the bracelet has a nice taper down from 20mm at the lugs to 16mm by the clasp, but that clasp is kind of thick. It's a little bit thicker and chunkier than I would have liked. It's also quite short. I wonder if perhaps they could have made it a little bit longer and a little bit less thick. I think that might have been slightly better, but it is a nicely fully milled clasp, and you do get 4 levels of micro adjust, so I've certainly had no problems getting a decent fit with this one. The other place where the watch does lose a point, and maybe this isn't a huge surprise, is in the lume department. So it does have lume on the hands, I think it's C3, and you also get a lume dot next to each of the indices, but the lume is very sparsely applied, and whilst it does glow at first, that glow doesn't last all that long. My test with watches, as I've said before, is to charge them up before bedtime and see if I can still tell the time at 5 o'clock in the morning, and with this one I definitely couldn't. Right, that's the two negatives out the way. Let me go back to gushing about the watch. I really think the finishing, the attention to detail on this is absolutely fantastic. I love some of the little details in this watch, like the B Baltany logo at 12. I think that looks wonderful, and it's gorgeously polished. It catches the light really, really nicely, as do the rest of the indices. Baltany do this watch in 4 different colorways, so you can get it with either the grey dial that I've got or a silver dial. Both of those are sunburst, and it's a subtle sunburst on this dial. It's not overdone like you get on some watches. It just catches the light really, really nicely, as do those indices. Very simple hands, but very nicely done hands as well. They're simple but kind of perfect. They match the watch brilliantly, and I really, really like the fact that you get a colour matched date wheel as well. I went for the all stainless steel version, but you can get two-tone versions as well. I've actually gone for a two-tone version of the Baltany Datejust with the fluted bezel, so I'll be reviewing that one on the channel fairly soon. And you do also get that lovely B on the signed crown, which is a nice big grippy crown. The other detail, which is really lovely and which you don't see on many watches at all, let alone watches costing less than £200, is the fact you have an engraved rehaut on this watch, and it looks fantastic. It's just one of those little details that really, really elevates this watch. It's a watch that's kind of gorgeously simple, and yet the more you look at it, the more wonderful stuff that you see. The finishing is very simple as well, but very well done. So a fine brush on the tops of the case, and then a lovely polish along the sides. It's got that kind of curved oyster style case, which is enormously satisfying. It's a watch that I just enjoy running my fingers up and down the side of. It's wonderfully smooth and kind of organic feeling. All in all, this is very close to being a perfect everyday watch for me. I can definitely see myself wearing it quite happily at work, but also on the evenings and at the weekends. It's really, really beautifully done. It's subtle, it's understated, but when you look closely, there are some lovely, lovely details there, and details that you definitely wouldn't expect on a watch that cost as little as this one. I really don't hesitate to recommend it if you're on the lookout for an everyday watch with a little air of refinement about it. Do let me know what you think of it in the comments. Let me know if you're a Baltany fan and which other of their watches you think I should check out. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and also consider subscribing for more simple watch reviews.